Do you know what airline companies do to make sure that you are breathing during the flight? There are many things that could go wrong when we take flight from point A to point B. But there are two most important facts which airline companies and you can follow to actually make your journey comfortable. Let me start with the first one. So point one is that airline companies have they have formed these pressurized cabins. So you might have heard about it that there's the cabin which you are sitting in is a pressurized cabin, right? What do we mean by that? So for a normal human being, we actually start to have troubles if we go above 8,000 feet in terms of breathing. And now that we are flying at 35,000 feet, you could imagine that how difficult breathing can be, and no normal human being can actually survive at that height. So let me first tell you that the air outside of an airplane contains too little of an oxygen. So at 35,000 feet, there's very little oxygen. Now, if you try to breathe this air, right, and if airline companies might be pushing just directly this air in, this air has a very low oxygen in it, and now which could lead to hypoxemia. Now, to make sure that there is enough oxygen, what airline companies do is that the airplane, when it's flying, they bring the air in, which is surrounding the airplane. Now, then they basically compress that available outside air. Now, as the plane flies, air that flows through the engine gets sucked in, compressed, cooled, filtered, and pumped into the cabin. Now, this air is also used for combustion for jet engines. Like automotive engines, jet engines burn a combination of fuel and air. Some of the air that enters airplanes, jet engine, is used for combustion, not all of it. Now, the rest of the air will bypass the jet engines for use in the cabin. Now, that air cannot be directly pumped into the cabin because the air is, of course, hot. It has to be compressed, it has to be cooled, filtered, and then it's pumped into the cabin. Now, the second most important fact. So, this was about breathing, how airline companies make sure that we are breathing okay and we are feeling comfortable in terms of breathing. Now, the second point, which I would like to tell you, and which is another very important point, whenever we travel, the air drawn into the plane, right, the air which we were talking about is, that cabin is pressurized. So when the cabin is pressurized, that air becomes extremely dry. There is no humidity. High altitude regions of the atmosphere, the plane environment itself is drier than a desert. Now, about 30 minutes after the takeoff, the relative humidity in the cabin drops down to zero. Now, the most obvious fact of this, and you would get to know it, and everybody goes through it, that our mouth becomes too dry. Now, in these pressurized cabins, when there is no humidity and in the longer journeys, hence, we feel dehydrated, leading to some kind of a headache or dizziness, and we are not at a lot of ease. Now, if you want to fly with ease next time, just follow these 2-3 steps. I'll just quickly cover those, and I think that will really make the journey comfortable. So, of course, there's alcohol served in the when we are in the flight. Do not drink excess alcohol because again it leads to dehydration. Go for that was the point one. Second point is take some strolls. So basically walk, get up and walk during the flight so that it makes sure that there is a blood circulation happening. Now, the third point, and again, this point you of course have to take the consideration of asking your physician that if you can do this or not, but you can also take an aspirin a day before flying or on the same day. So that makes that the circulation is better and you are at ease. So these were a couple of things which I wanted to share with you guys in the part of this series. Hope this helps. Thank you and see you next time.